Hey MRA, my Real Africanists. This is Maria Juve, the Real Africanist. I was in the middle of doing a video about African identity, and I don't know what happened. The video just went off, right? So I just wanted to continue on that subject. Okay, so you can go back, please, and watch the first half of the video to get the basis of what I was talking about, right, or what I am talking about now. So basically, I was talking about how people accuse black people of stealing other people's identity and their cultural contributions, right? But what I have found basically is that, it has been more so the opposite, the other way around, where people steal our identity, right? Not us stealing their identity, okay? And so when I left off, I was talking about Dr. Ivan Van Sertima's work, right? The work that he has done on this topic, the O.M.E.C.T world, right? And the O.M.E.C.T world is in Mesoamerica at La Ventas, Veracruz, Tres Zapotes, I think is the way you pronounce it, right? And how these stone heads were found in Mesoamerica back in the mid 1800s, right? And these stone heads were different from any other type of artifacts or sculptures or anything like that that had been found in Mesoamerica. Also, these stone heads basically had Negroid features. And again, I'm using that word just because that's the word that is normally used when it comes to differentiating the races. So they use the word Negroid, Mongoloid, Caucasoid, right? Those are the terms. So please forgive me if you take offense to that word, right? But anyway, I was saying that this is the way that they erase the connection of African people from civilizations, right? Specifically from the foundations of certain civilization is by denying African people's connection to that civilization, even when they have proof, even when they have artifacts that clearly show that these people that built these civilizations were people of African descent, right? So in the book that they came before Columbus, Dr. Van Sertima's research, right, it shows these images of these heads, right, that were found in this what they call the O.M.E.C.T world. And I'm not sure if these were terracotta figures or were these stone figures, but these figures look exactly like, right, the terracotta sculptures that were produced by the Nok culture in ancient Nigeria. I mean, they are virtually identical. There is no difference between them. And if you have the book, They Came Before Columbus, you can go take a look. Or you can get that book online, at Amazon, or first try your local black bookstore. That's where you want to start, right? But if you can't find that book there, then, and if you don't have it, then it's a good book to have in your library, right? But I don't think that that is a coincidence that these skulls or these figurines look identical to these figurines that are found in the Nok culture, right? Dr. Van Sertima ties this culture to this O.M.E.C.T culture, this Mesoamerican culture, to the Egyptian culture or the Egyptian civilization. He has made the connection there through his research, and he has some very strong research and some strong evidence to suggest that. However, I'm just saying basically those large stone heads that were found in that part of the world, they definitely look like black people, right, or African people. And those stone heads, these other stone heads that Dr. Van Sertima features in his book, they are identical to these figurines or these artifacts that are found were found in ancient Nigeria. Okay, then I wanted to move on to the Aboriginal Australians, right, who is another indigenous culture that has been under attack, or that has basically been removed from their homeland, right? I think we all are familiar with that ongoing situation, right, with the horrendous and inhumane treatments that these Aboriginal people suffer at the hands of these foreign invaders, right, or their former colonizers and their present colonizers. Again, I don't like using that term colonizers because I think it's just too weak of a word to describe the system of theft and murder and brutality, that exists within these systems of colonization. But that's the name that they use, and I'll use that term again for clarification's sake. However, I was saying that this is another way that or another strategy that is used to erase the memory of the African contribution to world society, is basically by destroying or killing off the people that are in these societies, right? And so these Aboriginal Australian communities, I mean, they have survived so many different attempts at just extermination, right? Blatant attempts at extermination, and they also suffer a high rate of police brutality, just like many black communities around the world, but specifically African American communities, right? And so I just wanted to share with you these comments that this old rich, insidious dude named Lang Hancock, who made his money in the Australian mining industry, and I'm quite sure we know who was the labor force in this mining industry, right? What he said about the Aboriginal Australians, right? Please excuse me, I'm gonna I have to adjust this thing right quick, okay? So he said that look, this is what he would do to solve the Aboriginal problem. He said, I would herd the worst of the Aboriginals, especially the mixed breeds, because they are a real problem, into one area, right? Now, mind you, they created the mixed breed, right? They were the problem when they were creating this mixed breed, okay? But, so they created this mixed breed, right? But now they the problem. I would herd the worst of the Aboriginals and this mixed breed, who are the worst, into one area, put a chemical into their water to make them sterile, and in time there will be none of them left. They will breathe themselves out. Yes, that's what I would do. That's what I would do to solve this problem. Now, he said this on a live interview, right? So the whole world could hear. He had no reservations about saying this is what he would do. And believe me, I have no reservations about believing that this has been done to indigenous people all over the world, specifically to indigenous black populations all over the world as well. I don't buy that narrative any longer that they bought these diseases with them and they just accidentally killed off, a lot of these indigenous populations. How can you be carrying such a potent disease, right? But you're not dead. You're just killing off other people, right? So to me, now from a more experienced perspective, it was intentional biological warfare, along with the this weaponry, right? This warlike weaponry, where they just deliberately killed off of these indigenous populations to take their land, okay, and to take their natural resources, okay. And so the Aboriginal people that still exist in Australia, they live in deplorable conditions, right? Without even the basic necessities, in a country that is probably one of the most richest countries on the face of the earth, right? And there is no efforts to do right by these people at all, especially, like you say, when you have people with this kind of blatant racist attitude towards these people. This is the kind of these are the kind of mindsets that exist and that continue to foster this ideology, again, that there is somehow this superior race and this inferior race, and most often it's the blacks who are thought of as inferior. You know, they have this kind of paternalistic view of black people as somehow they have to take care of them, or you know, they have to help them, when actually, you know, we basically are the parents of civilization. You know, we are. So it actually, you know, goes the other way around. But anyway, I also wanted to mention the story about the Tasmanian people, who was also another indigenous Australian people, right, or in that part of the world. The Tasmanian people, they were basically genetically, you know, they were genetically destroyed, basically. You know, it was genetic genocide that was leveled against these group of people. I think maybe it was some years back that the last Tasmanian person passed away, right? But what was done to those people was just shameful, okay? I think we all may remember this cartoon character called the Tasmanian Devil. You know, if you ask me, and this is my perspective, I haven't seen this in writing or anything, or it's not written in stone, but I think that was a take on the Tasmanian people, right, whose country or whose land was invaded and colonized and, you know, and conquered by these invading Europeans and these British people more specifically, right? And like I said, what was done to them was just shameful, right? And then not only was the land taken, but after the land was taken, you know, these scientists and anthropologists, you know, they started digging up the Tasmanians people ancestral graves and taking their skulls and skeletal remains and like I say, digging them up and selling them all over the world to other institutions and museums for scientific experimental purpose. Now, who does that kind of stuff, you know? And so that's one of the reasons that they really don't want African and African diaspora studies to be taught in the school systems across America, and I'm quite sure across other countries and nations as well, because they don't want this kind of stuff to be talked about. They don't want this kind of stuff to come out. But another thing that puzzles me is, you know, they document all of this kind of stuff, or so they say. You know, like I say, what kind of a person you know, kills people, maims people, destroys people culture, and then document it, right? And don't get me wrong, African and black people, they're not perpetual victims. They didn't just lay down and allow this to happen. Most African cultures, they fought back, and they fought hard. They fought for years, hundreds of years, you know, even. But like you say, they were the weaponry, you know, they were no comparison for the weaponry that these European people could consciously use against people, right? And so that therein is where the problem really lied, right? But all of this talk about these diseases that were not purposely spread into these other indigenous cultures and just kill them off, you know, I don't buy that anymore. It was this weaponry, and it was this intentionality to destroy and decimate these cultures, okay? And so you can look up the Tasmanian culture, do a little more research on that, and if you want to leave a comment in the comment section below, and we can kind of have a discourse about that, that would be good. I'm always happy to engage different comments, okay? And so like I said, I've been talking for a while, and so I'm really going to get off of here. But I also just wanted to say, because I really don't have time to go into the historical contributions of African American people, not on this video. Like I said, I'm going to do that in a subsequent video also. I'm going to talk a little, I'm going to start talking about why I believe in reparations. You can also find my belief on that on my blog at therealafricanists.com. And one of the main reasons that I believe in reparation is because of the things that I talk about on my channel, right? And I just don't understand, like you say, any black person or person of African descent that does not believe that people of African descent are due reparation, not just African Americans, all over the world, right? Based upon the, like I say, the resources that was stolen, you know, the physical and the psychological trauma that was that black people have endured. It's not all about the money. It's a combination of things, and the more I research, the stronger my resolve is for the fact that I believe that black people are more than due reparations, right? They are owed reparation based on solid documented facts, okay? Facts. So, like I say, I will go into the history and the contributions of African Americans that have been stolen, has been destroyed, has been oppressed, right? We'll talk about the property, the inventions, right? The land that was stolen, the people that were killed, that were enslaved, that was buried, displaced, the breeding of people, right? For economic gain, right? The cities that were burned and flooded. I mean, there was many cities and towns, black prosperous cities and towns that were, like I say, burned to the ground and that were flooded, you know, and there's just so much history that has been denied and distorted, right? And it would be one thing, like we said, we know that there has been times where, you know, I mean, there's places in other parts of the world, you know, where cities or you know, or I would say civilizations have been flooded, they're underwater. But, you know, it's something different when it just happens to a particular group of people. And in most cases, it's always black people. It's always African people. So there's an intentionality to that. And that's an intentionality that you cannot disregard and you cannot deny, right? And so, again, like I say, I'll go into that later, but I just wanted to get that message across, that is the way that, you know, black people's contribution to world civilization is denied. That's how it is destroyed, you know, and that's how it is you know, suppressed. These are some of the tactics of how that is done. So back to the question that my commenter asked, and why are black or African people so obsessed with stealing other people's identity or claiming other people's culture and their accomplishments? I would say the question is more so, why have other people been so obsessed with stealing and claiming black culture and their accomplishments, right? And more so, why have they been so obsessed with destroying it? Those are the real questions, okay? So I'm signing off. Happy Black History Month again. Please don't forget the Can't Ban Black Challenge. Post all that you know about Black history all across your social media platforms and on social media sites. And I just urge you to never forget the accomplishments and sacrifices that our ancestors, grandparents, parents, and others have made so that we can walk boldly in our freedom, and never forget what has happened to the black woman, man, and child. Remember, freedom is not free. Okay, I am Maria Juve, the Real Africanist. You can find me here. You can find me at my blog at therealafricanists.com. I am a historian, I'm an educator, I'm a blogger, and I am the creator of the A.S.P.E.C.T model, the African system of progressive education and communication techniques. The A.S.P.E.C.T model is a strategically aligned 4-tier model that I designed to produce innovative products, processes, and independent platforms to educate on Africa, to disrupt the influence and control that Western institutions, scholarship, and interpretations have over the African story, and to set a new standard of how the African story is presented and perceived in academia and public places. So if you want to know more about the A.S.P.E.C.T model, I will put a link in the description below, and also that will also take you to my blog, the Real Africanists, .com, and it will tell you more about this model. So I'll see you all next time. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be one of the first to get my video next time I put another one up, which will be in a day or two. Okay, so again, take care of your family. Remember to fight the power, and remember there is always more than one side of the story, and one family, one love. We all in this together. Peace.